When comparing business plans and mind maps, it's essential to understand their distinct purposes and structures. One can look kind of rigid, and the other one is a little bit more creative. And business plans can come off just like that. They're very formal, they're structured, and they're used to outline a company's goals, their strategies, financial projections, and operational plans. And I would say, and when I'm talking to clients, is that these are really created to secure funding from a lender, an investor, or another capital source. And some will argue that it isn't very creative and that it's limiting. But the way I look at it is if you're in a room full of people who don't know you, or your product or service or idea, you have to show that you've taken the time to think about what you're doing and how you plan to make a profit. And there's some typical parts of a business plan, and I'm going to show you an example here of one that I did for the construction of an RV park. Is if you look here, there is a executive summary, just a snapshot of the business, including a mission statement, key points of the plan. And then you see here there's a company description. So, what is this business? Who's the target market? What sets it apart from its competitors? Just a real basic breakdown. And then you have some market analysis, which is, you're looking at the research on the industry trends, market demographics, and competitor analysis to kind of show that this is why this is a good idea. Then you have organization management. The business's organizational structure, details about who the owners are, the management team, why this group of people is going to make this business or product or service a success. And then you can add a product or service line where you're showing details about what the business offers, including the life cycle, the benefits, production processes if it's applicable. And then there's a marketing and sales strategy, how the business plans to attract and retain its customers. And then you got to make the ask, right? So if you're seeking funding, you want some details like I need to raise $10 million or $1 million or $50,000, whatever it is, and explain exactly why you're asking for it, right? And then probably the most important part, and where most business owners or would-be business owners or people who are getting in is a detailed financial forecast, and that includes the income statement, the cash flow statement, and a balance sheet. And it is a very difficult argument at times especially when you're dealing with somebody who's maybe newer to being an entrepreneur, where it's just like this is the nitty-gritty in terms of have you really thought about, is this business going to make some money? And you can look at Facebook, you can look at Amazon, you say, well, these guys lost money for years, and that's true. But not everybody has the patience to be losing money for 10 years. You're not necessarily going to go IPO in the first year, right? You need to convince these investors, your friends, your family, hey, this is why I think if you give me $1, I'll bring you back $1.10 or $1.20. And then some business plans might have an appendix, right? So there's any additional information, some drawings, videos, those kind of things that are relevant to the plan. That is, very, very important. So here was one that I put together for an RV park. It was a 36 space out in Colorado. And we did statistics, we talked about state parks in the area, great things that are going on from a recreation perspective, why the area is strong in terms of its location, what's going on in the local RV parks. We did a competitive analysis. We talked about the owners, why they're experienced, why they're competent to make this happen. We talked about the different things, the digital marketing, the partnerships, email marketing, online booking and payment, all those, great things. And then we had the funding request. And then it's here's why we think this will work. This is what's required. And then I had a very detailed projection analysis showing them what kind of rents they were going to charge per day, per week, per month, what the staffing looked like, what the operating expenses were, etc. And how the lender, in this case, this was going to be an SBA loan because it was owner user, that they were going to get paid back, right? Okay, so now I think is probably where we can call it the fun stuff, right? Which is a mind map. And this is a creative exploration tool, and the purpose of mind maps that they're much more visual. They're used to brainstorm, organize ideas, and explore various aspects of a business concept And I think they help entrepreneurs clarify their thoughts, their intentions, and it's more of a free-flowing, flexible manner in terms of how do we create this strategy. And so here I'm showing you an example of a mind map of my own. This is something that I have put together. This is my company, Shokunin, and the different services, ideas, products that we've come together, like Deal Doula. We have a product called Dispute Doctor, the podcast like Friday Formula. We have No Silver Bullet. We also have Profit or Pitfall. And so this was just a way for me to kind of help me visualize. This is a motivator for me. I've got one printed out in my office here, and it reminds me of kind of why and the why in terms of, there's things that I'm doing for this business, that the businesses that own this, the things that I'm doing in visual media, some books that I've written. We have some other, more entrepreneurial things that we're doing outside of business finance and commercial real estate finance. And then I think about my family, right? In terms of our foundation, the way we want to give to organizations like the Fulfillment Fund, where I got my scholarship to go to college. We've housed single mothers in the past. And I think about my kids, in terms of my grandkids, the monies, the way that we're going to create legacy for our future to make it last. We don't want all this just to go up in smoke when I pass or when my wife passes. So, excuse me, this is, for me, this is a great way to just kind of visualize like why I'm doing certain things. And so what I'd like to do is just kind of use a real basic. You can use a piece of paper. I'm using this, my tablet here. And, one of the things that we can do here is just kind of walk through a structure of what, something might look like. So for example, I got a thing here that lets me do. So here is, I'm going to use a tablet that I have. And this is great because it helps you. You can use a piece of paper. You can use a dry erase board. I'm just using this because it's fun. And, we can, maybe just draw a circle, right? And then look at why are we doing this? Okay, and like this is kind of where maybe you're beginning the central idea, the core concept, or the main goal of the business placed at the center of the mind map, right? And then thinking about kind of what is it we can, there's various branches, right? Various subtopics or related ideas for the central idea. So there could be, service that comes out of the why. The why, for example, I'll give you an example today. I spent the last 5 years taking care of my parents with dementia. And it was a pretty tough journey with my wife. And one of the things that I saw was like some of the shortfalls that come relating to elder care in the healthcare business. And so you could that could be your why, for example. Say, okay, I want to create a product that makes sure, let's say, for example, I knew we looked at skilled nursing facilities, we looked at assisted living facilities, and they were just, we weren't comfortable with certain aspects of it. So we decided to take care of my parents in the house. So we built out a guest house. We complied with ADA requirements. We did a lot of things because we knew how, but because we wanted to. But not everybody has that ability, right? So one of the things we thought about was like, what about the people who can't? So maybe that's your why in terms of, you want to create this product or service because you want to change that. And you can use keywords. What I like about it, this is very informal and flexible. Because, this is how you really begin to create, you really begin to flesh out your idea to figure out, okay, is this a good idea? And you begin to do your research when you begin to put that business plan together, right? A little more structured because now you're going to go and present to other people. But what's fun about this is that you can really think about your why, the service, and how you're going to make that happen. So let's say, for example, if I don't know anybody in the healthcare business, I have my podcast, right? I have the power of social media. So, maybe I would put a podcast together, or socials, right? And what does that let you, do? It lets you meet experts. right? And so now you're beginning to build a group of people that are passionate about what you're doing, who are excited about, like, yes, we need to solve this problem of X, Y, or Z in the healthcare space for the elderly, or for people who are caring for the elderly and can't afford, assisted living or skilled nursing facilities. And that's just how you begin to create a community, right? And what I think about too is, because I'm a certified exit planning advisor, is like, how do I duplicate myself, right? So I got to create staff. And so, like, who are those people? What do those job descriptions look like? I don't do any accounting in my businesses. I have two other people who handle the accounting, my invoicing, all that kind of stuff. All the marketing that comes with this, right? Those are things you're thinking about, you're staffing, you're building these ideas out. The people, like, for example, if you're doing social, well, then I'm going to need an editor, that doesn't look good at all, does it? Right there. So lots of people to think about in terms of, how you build this out. And now that helps you to build out your financial model in terms of, like, okay, we've got this idea for this service or product. We know we have to hire X amount of people to make this work, because as an entrepreneur, like, I'm great with the ideas, but I know that maybe there's somebody else who's going to be a lot better than me to actually run this company that I'm creating. And so then when you're beginning to build this pool of experts, maybe you're going to find your investor partner who's going to connect you with other experts who's like, you know what, this guy or gal, they're really good at running companies. They know how to scale from just a handful of people to 100 people. Another thing you could think about is, the merchandising, right? So if you're trying to get the word out about, caring for the elderly, you got a cool t-shirt, you got a cool hat, you got a cool saying, right? There's the messaging. You know me by now, I'm left-handed and I'm using a tablet, so thanks for being patient. But there's, all that typical stuff, the shirts, the caps, the tchotchkes that you want to maybe make that'll, get people excited about this product that you're doing for the elderly, right? And you're beginning to make these connections. And so this is for me, it's a lot of fun just doing just drawing things out and, scratching things out. And like, no, that's not a good idea. We're going to do this. And then you can take this and going from free exploration to kind of tightening it up, and sometimes, you'll speak to different entrepreneurs who are very successful and they'll say business plans are worthless because, things change all the time and you don't want to hold yourself to this rigid process. And having worked in finance, this is still part of how things get done in terms of, yes, the creative part is very fun. It's probably even sexy, right? Because you can, there's no limitations. And then the business plan kind of puts you in a box. And that's the part of being a fiduciary, right? Like, especially if you're going to go raise money, is to prove out to the person or persons or investors, I want that dollar and I'm going to bring you back $1.20 and I'm going to prove it to you. And here's the business plan. Here's my thorough research. Here's some precise language and a structured format, because that structured rigidity ensures that all critical aspects of the business are thoroughly considered and communicated effectively. This tablet here with all these drawings and ideas, fantastic over a beer, hanging out with your closest partner or your spouse, whoever it is, and you get very excited about this. But when it's time to go and raise that money, the business plan really offers you that structure to communicate effectively. Mind maps, they offer that freedom without the pressure of that structure, and they're excellent for initial stages of business development when that creativity and brainstorming are crucial. So use those mind maps, visualize, build those relationships, start to understand how those different components work between the business and the service or product, and that'll really help foster innovative thinking. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. I really would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. The book of James talks about it. You have not because you ask not. So I'm asking you to please like and subscribe. Share this video if this is helpful to you. We really try to make Friday Formula valuable for business owners. We want to make sure that you have the systems in place to balance your personal life with your business life so you can create a legacy, duplicate yourself, and do the things that you want to do beyond running a business. Thanks so much for watching Friday Formula.